Okay, we're live. Okay, three, two, one. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 176. And it looks like we're still talking about Cambridge Analytica and everything else. So, really, before we get there, let's see what else there is before we keep on going and tell you that the world's going to end. It's not, but anyway, unless Tom says it is. Tom may have some secret inside knowledge.
I can neither confirm nor deny that the world will end tomorrow on March 29th. You probably won't hear this episode by then, so good luck and Godspeed.
So apparently the Chinese are bringing down some satellite and New Jersey is in the wreckage path. So the world may actually end.
Keep an umbrella?
I don't know. They said it's like it's like it's like winning the lottery 1,000,000 times. That's the probability of getting hit. So
well, I mean, the Earth is 70% water, so chances are it's probably going to hit some water, which is all right.
I'm just hoping because it's a flat Earth that it rotates the wrong way and it misses.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Also, wait, you believe in space? Come on.
It's those Chinese satellites. They're giving us their aluminum and steel free.
That's a good deal.
After it's been forged.
Good trade right there.
Okay. So before we get into our main topic, we just have a couple things. So I want to first start off with Drupal. So if you have a Drupal website, if you don't know you have a Drupal website, you probably don't, because Drupal is one of those things you know when you have Drupal because nothing ever works properly. But I mean, I had Drupal. I said, I'm going to do this and it's so customizable. And then I got old and curmudgeon-y and I had kids and I said, you know what? I like things out of the box that just works.
So you install WordPress.
So I install WordPress. So yeah, Drupal is, if you have Drupal, update, like stop listening to us, like right now, stop listening to us. They're claiming that there's going to be exploits within the hour. So the links are in the show notes on the YouTube. If you're watching it, it's right there from Bleeping Computer. And they're saying just update, just stop, tell everyone, tweet about it, do whatever you can to get people updating. So
yeah, I guess it's pretty bad. It's bad enough that not only do you have advanced warning of this, but you have kind of a stop the world moment where they reach out to the press to get everyone to make sure everybody knows about this big security event, because when it hits, you're going to need to update immediately. I would go as far as to say it might not be a bad idea. Maybe like a couple minutes before the update drops, or a couple minutes before the security hole actually becomes public. You might want to like take your server off the net, put up firewalls, block all the ports. People won't be able to get to your site, sure. But if your risk profile is great enough, if your site is big enough that you're worried about, people taking advantage of your site right away and targeting you directly right after this comes out, it's not a bad idea to put the shields up, get things patched, and then you can resume normal business after that.
So apparently they're calling this Drupal Get-in number 2, which means that there's Drupal Get-in number 1, which was CVE 2014. So it's 4 years later, we have another problem, but it's basically malicious actors can take control of the core components of Drupal and run code. So you definitely don't want that. You definitely don't want them installing CoinHive scripts to mine, Monero or Ethereum while your customers are there. They said that there's no proof of concept yet, but I have a feeling that it's going to be one of those really fast to market things. So if you have Drupal, stop what you're doing right now and go from there. So the next thing is, we're just going in chronological order, the Cloud Act. So if you didn't hear about it, it's because it was tucked away on page, do you know what page it was on? The 2200 page spending bill? It was probably the last one.
I wish things like this were illegal in this country, but this has happened time and time again, and I'm sure it'll keep happening. But Congress was allowed to take something completely unrelated, a totally unrelated law that had never gotten a hearing. People had never looked at it. No one had marked it up. No one did any edits. This was, basically a rough draft of a law, and they stapled it to the back of the the spending bill, so the government didn't shut down, and they passed it. So democracy at work.
Basically, they're saying that that yes, the U.S. can't spy on you. The federal government cannot get your data. But if you're not a citizen of the US, they can ask for your data from Google and Apple and Microsoft and all these companies because the data travels overseas and back. And then they said, well, why do we have to caveat it overseas? You're not, if you're a foreign national, we just want your data. So it makes it easy. It makes it way easier to get, basically circumventing the Fourth Amendment with search and seizure and all this other stuff. Okay.
Yeah, there's a big list here. So enable foreign police to collect and wiretap people's communications from U.S. companies without obtaining a U.S. warrant. I'm taking all of this from the EFF directly. Allow foreign nations to demand personal data stored in the U.S. without prior review by a judge. Allow the U.S. president to enter executive agreements that empower police in foreign nations that have weaker privacy laws than the U.S. to seize data in the U.S. while ignoring the U.S.'s privacy laws. Allow foreign police to collect someone's data without notifying them about it, and empower U.S. police to grab any data, regardless if it's a U.S. person or not, no matter where it's stored. So it's a blanket spying bill. I'm sure it's going to take some actual damages to someone, but I'm sure this will go to court, and it just has to fail. This is directly against the Fourth Amendment.
Well, they're going to claim that it's foreign nationals. They're not American citizens, but
there's no way that this thing stands up in court. There's no way.
So, and again, this is what happens when you put together a 2,200 page bill that says fund the government.
Yeah.
Instead of one page, it says fund the government.
I'm surprised that none of them tacked on we want, gold-plated Corvettes or something on the back of this, or included a list of ransom demands, or give us a Friends movie, or bring back Cowboy Bebop, or something else on the back of this bill that the government would then have to do.
Look, it's 2,200 pages. This could have been page 700. They're probably on page. If somebody actually they hit the deadline, they passed it, I bet no one reads it from now on.
Okay, I got it. I know exactly what we're going to do. We're both going to run for Senate. We're going to get in, and on the next omnibus budget spending package bill, we are going to bring back Firefly. We'll handwrite it in big red marker, bring back Firefly, and staple it right to the back. We can do this. We can get it. It might take a few years for us to get into Senate, but I promise you, as an American citizen, if you elect me, I will bring back Firefly.
We're going to bring back Firefly.
We're going to do it.
Have you been watching The Orville?
I have not.
Oh,
I
hear completely it's really different. Good. It's completely different, but
okay.
But there's still, anyway. I'm even looking for what other pork they put into this bill. So again, it's spying, and this is now the second time they did this. SOPA and PIPA we essentially knocked out, but the spending bill last time, not the continuing resolutions, but a few continuing resolutions ago, they slipped this in for, again, copyright and DMCA and all this other nonsense. So this is their way of circumventing the people, because they know that this would. Here's the thing. They're trying to do something good. I understand they're trying to say, hey, we want information to stop all these terrorist attacks and everything else, but this is not how you do it. This
isn't democracy. This is not how things are supposed to work. We didn't want this bill. We didn't vote on this bill, and it got shoved into something completely unrelated, because apparently that's how things work now.
They're trying to say, hey, wouldn't it be good if we're able to ask Google, hey, can you give us information on this terrorist so we can bring closure? And the answer is always yes, we would give us this information. The problem is that violates law, because that's why we have the Constitution and everything else. And I'm not a constitutional scholar, but you don't want people you don't want Google and the government telling you what is important and what isn't. So
yeah, I think this is going to end up with some really nasty, drawn-out lawsuits.
Or they just decide that the problem with the court system, sometimes it goes quickly and sometimes it's going to take a while. And so far, the Supreme Court has not weighed in on any of the digital privacy matters. So they're only going to lower courts, and I'm afraid that they're not going to want to do it. But the good thing is privacy and security they're both partisan on the extremes. Everyone in the middle doesn't care, but the people on the extreme apparently do. So,
yep.
Okay. So next thing. So we've been asking the EFF for more secure messaging. So they did this secure messaging scorecard. I don't know. We covered it last time, probably back when we were in the single digit podcast numbers. So 4 years ago. And since then, we've had all these audits, we have all this, and we were looking for another one, like which one is coming up. And they just killed our hopes and dreams and says, hey, look, it's not that we don't want to do it. It's just that it's too hard to do because everyone's threat model is different, and everyone has a different thing that they like. Countries have different laws, so you're going to have to do the research and figure out what it is best for your threat model.
Yeah, I think that people like to think of security in binary terms. Like, this is secure, this is not secure. And that's never the right way to think about security, right? We like to say on this show that it's about taking the target on your back and shrinking it as much as you possibly can. Why you don't have to outrun the bear, you just have to outrun your friends, right? You don't have to be the most secure person on the planet, you just have to be a difficult target. So I get what they're saying, and they're correct. There's no one size fits all solution. We have decided for our threat model, for our WhatsApp security group that you could totally join if you message us, that WhatsApp is a perfectly acceptable messenger for us. It has the features we like. It's got the end-to-end encryption that we need, and Signal just didn't hit the mark for us. It wasn't as usable.
And we're always welcome. If you think that they've changed it and you want to try again, we'll always hop in a group with you and we can talk. It's no big deal. And the people in our WhatsApp group will happily join just to test it out to see if it's better.
Yeah.
So next time we hear that, that's what it is. And they're saying, look, the EFF, and I have this exactly because I work in a place with terrible cell phone reception. I'm in a group message, text message for what it's worth. People are sending me messages. I'm not getting them. And that's because Signal is unreliable for these things. Signal is really good, but if everyone doesn't have Signal, it doesn't work that well. So it's really hard to tell your mother or your grandmother or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whatever, use this when they just don't care, especially if they're on an iPhone. You finally get them to be slightly more secure, and then it doesn't work that one time, and then they give up.
Yeah, I truly think the solution to getting a ton of people using end-to-end encrypted messengers is to pre-install them. Whether it's WhatsApp or Signal or something else that's using the double ratchet protocol, or the Signal protocol rather. I think pre-installing it on devices and setting it as a default is going to be the best way. Defaults save lives.
And then, like we said, WhatsApp still goes with your phone number, but it's popular outside the United States. But then we're going to get into the Facebook store, and you're going to say, now WhatsApp may be sharing my data, this and that, and the other thing. So then we go with Threema is another one that I like. But that's paid, and once you get paid, people don't want it, and they've gone through an audit, and it's great, but it's paid, and again, it's something else. When half the world has iPhones and they want you to use iMessage, it's really hard to get people to switch. So I understand what they're doing. I just wish they gave us more guidance. This is the same as the VPN argument, and we need to cover. And I'm calling Tom on this out now. The 3 VPNs that were busted for like leaking metadata. That's next week's topic.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to message you that now. 3 VPNs that gave up privacy. But again, the same thing with the messengers. It's your threat model is different. We can't recommend one. We'll be happy to talk to you about them, but we don't want to on the air say this one is best. Just like we don't want to say VPNs because we can give you our recommendation, but now we're finding out more and more that bad things are happening. Like we used to recommend Tunnel Bear, and Tunnel Bear just got bought out by the man McAfee or McAfee.
Yeah.
and they were in Canada, still Five Eyes country, this and that, but they were also leaking stuff, not on purpose, but bad things. So
I wish there were a good default answer, right? And it seems like the more technology we get in our lives, the harder these answers become because, you know, do you run everything through a VPN? Okay. Well, now you have to change your browsing habits. Well, do you do a split VPN? So you're sending some traffic to one area of the world and other traffic to a different area. And then what do you do about secure messengers that demand a phone number? Do you go with, you know, some sort of SIP number that you get? Do you go with Google Voice? Do you? There's so many questions and so many avenues of communication, and then you add in desktop interoperability, right? Or web apps to that, right? I want to be able to talk to someone on my phone and on the web and on my desktop and on my tablet, and can I access this app everywhere? And the answer is usually no.
And
it's annoying at best.
And I know those youngins, the teenagers, they don't use a computer for anything. It's just their phone. But for example, WhatsApp doesn't work on a tablet, which I think is crazy. I have a cellular iPad and it doesn't work on it. Like, it has a number and everything. And it's just, it boggles my mind that it can't work on it. But again, and this is what we're talking about. It's why can't this work? And then Facebook Messenger used to be awesome. And then it went downhill. Then they gave security. We talked about that. But all these messengers are a royal pain. But the alternative is using PGP, which obviously you should, but it's still a problem. Nobody's going to do that.
Yeah. The biggest problem with PGP right now is the complete lack of forward secrecy. If somebody gets your PGP keys, it's all over.
So, I mean, because again, it was written in 1981 and hasn't been changed since then. So, okay, we're almost there. Next topic, SESTA and FOSTA. And I thought this would be a much tighter Senate vote than what it was. It was passed 98-2. SESTA and FOSTA are basically trying to stop child predators and sex trafficking and all that. Yeah, everyone's against sex trafficking, but they're doing it by saying websites are now responsible for the comments that they have. So now what places like Reddit have to start policing their comments a little more because they now can be held liable. Yeah.
So Section 230, I believe, is the safe harbor provisions. And I'm gonna
yes.
So it's safe harbors of the Communication Decency Act, which basically means that if you run a website and somebody else posts content, right, whether that's a YouTube video or pictures or just comments on your blog, you are not held liable for the things that people write on your site. Which is great. It means that Reddit can exist because if there's a subreddit for piracy, right, and somebody's linking to copyrighted material, which is against the DMCA, then Reddit isn't sued, right? Instead, a DMCA request is sent to Reddit and they say, hey, could you please take down this content? And then Reddit complies. But you can't sue Reddit for people posting stuff on their site. This weakens safe harbor provisions in a couple ways. I think the reason the vote was overwhelmingly yes is because SESTA is the Stop Enabling Sex Traffickers Act, and FOSTA is the, let me see here.
That's sex workers. One's about children, one's about sex workers.
Allows states and victims to fight online sex trafficking act. So if you vote no for this, your political opponents can say, hey, you know, John Smith totally loves sex traffickers and he's totally about, you know, people being sold and bought like property. It looks bad. So everyone's like, oh yeah, we're totally voting yes for this because we have no idea the implications. What this does mean is that places like Craigslist have now shut down their personal community because they didn't know if they were going to get sued or prosecuted under these acts, and they didn't want to take the risk to the rest of their business. Reddit has shut down a number of subreddits. It doesn't really do anything to stop the problem. It's the internet. If people want to enable sex trafficking over the internet, they're going to find a way, right?
They're trying to stop websites that specialize in how to get not how to sex traffic, but really despicable websites. They're trying to get off the internet, and they don't want them to say, well, this is just an online forum, you can post whatever you want, we have decency rules, here's our code of conduct. They want to stop those. The problem is that, again, we're catching a wide net. And I mean, Reddit was embroiled in some controversy many years ago where they had all these really horrible subreddits, and they claimed the First Amendment. And they said, look, you can have a subreddit on anything as long as it doesn't violate U.S. law. We're going to allow it. They said, but how can you allow white supremacists and all these other hate groups and race groups and anti-LGBT? And they said, look, as long as it doesn't violate federal rules, it's okay. We're not monitoring it. We are not policing it, because as soon as we do police it, then we have a different duty. This is saying because you don't police it, you can still get in trouble. And like you said, you saw Craigslist shut down its personals, and you're going to see a lot more sites that are going to either take comments now really seriously and remove them, or it's going to be lots of moderation.
So let's say, for instance, someone were to post, instructions or a how-to guide or try to enable sex trafficking in a comment on in30.net, right? On our website where this podcast
I think I took down comments like months ago, because I was getting like 80 spam comments a day. So
yeah, I did the same thing. But you could these people could theoretically post on CNN, right? On a CNN article. Well, if CNN doesn't catch it, if they don't police it, if there's not a team of admins watching everything all the time, then theoretically, yes, you could be prosecuted under one of these laws. And frankly, that's bullshit. It doesn't solve the problem where you need to use, a very fine chisel to remove some bad stuff from the internet, some really heinous stuff. You're instead using a mallet and just destroying online communities. The Safe Harbor Act has allowed places like YouTube to flourish. YouTube, Reddit, Imgur, Facebook. I mean, all these places exist simply because they can't be held liable for what their users do on the platform. And by removing that protection, you are now silencing speech. This is an attack on the First Amendment. It's plain and simple.
So it's only going to get worse. We're going to have more and more of these, and the problem is that these advocates, like everyone was really strong on SOPA and PIPA way back when. And when everyone saw it, everyone backed off. The problem is it's starting to wear thin. To be honest, I didn't even look at SESTA and FOSTA. I said, my Congress people generally side with me. And here they are 98-2, and those two were not me. So we got to pick our battles. And unfortunately, we're just getting so tired of picking every single battle because no one gets it. So
this whole thing is extremely annoying. Should just end the internet, shut it all down, try it again later. So just let it be dead for a little bit.
So we have no more quick stories. TLS 1.3 was released. I have no other information about that.
It's a good thing.
Steve Gibson did his thing on Security Now. You can listen to that. That is way above our scope of Tom can probably talk about it at length. I can't, but it's 0.1 more than the old TLS, and apparently it's awesome. So yeah.
Yeah, if you're interested, go check it out on Wikipedia. Just look up TLS 1.3. It'll take you right to it.
So again, we're 24 minutes in, 25 minutes in. So again, Cambridge Analytica now is getting people are now looking both ways. They're saying, wait, what happened? Now, as they're starting to understand how it happened and what's going on, now Mark Zuckerberg is going to testify before Congress. He's not going to Europe to testify. The hashtag delete Facebook movement is growing, but it's not going to grow enough. But it's still a lot of rage right now. Unfortunately, I don't think this is really going to have any real impact. I mean, Facebook stock is tanking right now, but I don't think they're going to be sued. I don't think anything really is going to happen from it. But people are still asking, what can you do? And we said this last week. Go to the apps that you have and go through their privacy settings and try and tune out all the privacy things. And just remember, when you post publicly, assume that everyone gets it. Just the things that we've been describing about on the internet. So anything you post on there, figure out is fair game. Anything your friends tag you in, assume that's fair game. Don't go around liking everything. I mean, it's when your friend says, hey, can you like me? You know what I do? I like it. And then 2 weeks later, I unlike it again. So I have a very few number of likes. Basically, they want you to add stuff to the profile to get a better representation of you. And if you like that, then go for it. If you think that brings you better ads and everything else, go for it. We were talking about this in the WhatsApp group. People were talking about Google collecting all this information. And Google does do this, but we've said this many times. The first time people lose the public when the public trust gets lost, they're going to move. So Facebook has a week or two to fix all this, figure out something, say they're sorry a bunch of times. But if they don't, people are going to start moving away. I don't know to what, but they're going to start moving away. So again, don't create your own profile. Google provides me some benefit, like they were saying in the WhatsApp group. It knows that when I go to work, it knows what time I should wake up. It knows when I should do these things. It tells me things that are very useful, and I'm happy to give them my data if it's going to do it. I haven't seen Facebook do that other than show me pictures of my friends' kids.
So just keep in mind, even if you go through all of Facebook's privacy settings, even if you unlike everything, you remove all the connected apps, you turn off the platform stuff, it doesn't change Facebook's business model, right? Their business model is to package you up as a demographic in several different categories and sell you as part of a larger whole as a package to advertisers. No matter, you can't do anything on your Facebook profile. There's no button to flip to keep them from doing that. That is what you trade away when you get on Facebook, is you allow yourself to be, thrown into a statistical bucket and thrown at advertisers.
The question that I have, and I don't know if Tom knows this answer, is how does this affect Instagram and WhatsApp? Both are Facebook properties. And I think the answer is Europe and the EU said that they cannot share the data. And WhatsApp had this big thing that we talked about on how to not share the data. So I'm hoping that they're independent, but I'm sure there's some data sharing.
I did read that WhatsApp does give metadata to Facebook. So they know this phone number is talking to this phone number. And if Facebook has ways of figuring out which phone number is associated to which person, even if you don't have a Facebook account. Like, it's really easy to figure out that I am linked to my phone number, right? There's tons of public record searches. They'd be stupid not to utilize this data and link it all together, clean it up a little bit. So yeah, they do know who's talking to who. Now, thanks to the Signal protocol built into WhatsApp, they don't know what you're talking about, but they do know when, to who, frequency of messages, and yeah, that's really about it.
Again, we get all this fear, uncertainty, and doubt saying, oh, we're going to cancel Facebook and you're going to do this. You need to find an alternative, because if you're using Facebook for information, our town uses Facebook to send reminders. And yes, we have other mechanisms for real emergencies, but it's the simplest way to do it. Twitter is not any better. It's just less information. I'm trying to think of what else. Instagram, you're sending pictures of your kids or your food or whatever it is, and your location and all this. So unless there's some other platform for sharing this, but I don't think it's going to be there unless it would have to be paid, because how else are they going to make money on it?
There are the federated platforms. There's Mastodon, there's Diaspora. The last time I was a Kickstarter backer for Diaspora, and the product just wasn't good. It wasn't easy to use. It was slow. It was annoying. It was like a really cheap knockoff of Facebook. I totally appreciate what they were trying to do. I don't feel like my money was wasted. I just don't think it was implemented well. And it's a hard thing to implement, right? They were trying to pull people away from Facebook, and that's almost impossible. Mastodon is a great platform. It's like federated Twitter. Does it have everything that Facebook does? Does it have everything that Twitter does? No, absolutely not. But those are alternatives.
And again, LinkedIn, another one owned by Microsoft. And again, LinkedIn is a little different because people are looking for jobs and they're making oh shoot, some ad. I thought Chrome stopped the ads, like the auto ads. Like all of a sudden I'm like, what's that in the background? And no, it's an ad. I thought they
Good old
stopped
ads.
And I thought, yeah, we talked about that. So anyway, LinkedIn said that LinkedIn's for professionals, but again, you're giving a lot of your data, like your actual address, your actual phone number, your actual email that you want to contact. So again, it's the problem with social networks is that somebody has to make money off of it. And unfortunately, it's you. So just be aware of all of this as you start continuing through your internet life and what you post and how you post it and everything else.
Yep.
So we're going to hear more. I don't think this is the last week of this Cambridge Analytica thing, but the good thing is that both parties of Congress are looking into it. They're not being petty and partisan and saying, well, they did it and we did it and they did it. No, they're both looking into it. And hopefully some good comes out of it. Hopefully Mark Zuckerberg gets slapped around a little bit and some sort of regulation goes in. But who knows? I'm not holding my breath, but
yeah, we'll see. I don't think anything's really going to come of this, but we'll see.
At least it gets the nightly news people talking. So on CBS, Facebook does what with your data? Wait 10 minutes and we'll tell you. Type ads. They'll scare people, and hopefully they'll start learning. Hopefully a little more.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think would be the best case scenario that's going to happen in all of this is people will finally understand, Facebook isn't just being Facebook to be nice, right? They're not just running all these servers and they don't have a massive corporation because they feel good about running a social network. No, there's a business model there.
So with that, we're over time, but we're gonna end now, and we'll hopefully see everyone next week. Where we said we're going to cover the VPNs, hold us to that. So anyway, we'll see everyone next week.
See you guys.
Bye.